Stop the cap.
These white boys are not going to fight for you. I mean, the tone deafness of white boomers is unbelievable. I was going to make another video last night. I just didn't get around to it. I was tired. I was going to talk about the white supremacists that wanted to shoot up the concert down there in Atlanta, some rap concert. I was going to talk about the mentally deranged woman who stabbed the little 3-year-old boy in Ohio. I had to cover that subject. And then I was going to talk about, you know, the history of white supremacy and what the white working class doesn't get and how they've been used as pawns and they, keep focusing on the cultural war when all this shit is, economic. Then I woke up this morning. The first thing I did, I got up, picked up my phone, crushed in my eyes, swiping through the phone or swiped, the phone, and I see all these notifications. And first thing that comes up is this thing about the selective service. The Congress passing a bill about selective service where 18 to 26-year-olds are automatically registered in selective service. And I already know about, Russia having their warships or submarines or whatever the hell it is off the coast of Cuba, right? Which is, to the United States, obviously that's going to be seen as a provocation or a threat or saber rattling, right? Because of the war in Ukraine, right? I mean, all the indications are there that we are heading towards World War III, whether it's China, Taiwan, the Middle East, Russia, Ukraine, selective service in the draft, basically the UK doing the same thing. But here's the damn problem. Again, I hate to be nigga-damas, but these white boys ain't gonna fight for you. This country and the book, the post that when I went and did the Google search, apparently there's somebody who wrote a book, because that's what they were talking about in the link, about basically the attack of the masculine, and now you need a bunch of young men to fight, and you've attacked who they are. And if you look at any of these post in any of these comments, I don't know who is the person in the White House or the government, or maybe they just don't care and don't give a fuck, but like, who is there, what is like the temperature in the room person, right? Because these white boomers don't even know what the temperature is in the room. I'm like, selective service. I'm like, I think you need to go over there and listen to the video, from what, a year ago, 2 years ago, Dave of Undead Chronic addressing Dave Ramsey, because that video embodies the type of energy and the smoke that you're going to get. When we look around, we look at them, today's mass shooters, they're in that age range, 18 to 26 years old. Okay. They feel attacked because of the dismantling of white supremacy, because again, the capitalists, right, they want it to be a melting pot so that they can, bring in the immigrants, drive down wages, right? And because that's the only time they talk about melting pot. The melting pot is, we want to bring in the immigrants to drive down wages so we can pay everybody less. So at that point, they have to dismantle white supremacy and the cushy position that white men have, been in and identified with. And the young white men feel entitled to that. So they think it's all about a cultural war, when again, it's about the economics. But, this country, the way that they see it, has specifically targeted them as white males for the sake of being white. Or the idea that they must atone for the white male sins of the past, because their white male ancestors did participate in the shit and got duped and tricked by the fucking capitalists, not realizing that they're in the same boat as the oppressed class, as was pointed out in the Gilded Age. Again, Latimer Massacre, Ludlow Massacre, freaking Homestead Massacre. White elites have never given a fuck about the white working class. But again, when the white working class or young white men, when they get the goodies, right? When they get the what do you call that? The FHA loans, right? That black people are redlined from, when they get the Homestead Act, right? When they get the New Deal, right? They're gonna grab all that white male affirmative action. They're gonna grab all that and they're gonna run with it. You see? And so what the boomers don't get, at this point, is there has been nothing for young white men, period. Nothing for them. And again, I understand that even minorities are included in that 18, to 26, for going to the military. I totally understand that. But that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the volatile population, the angry and entitled and pissed off population, which are white males. Okay? Again, we keep talking about how, or I've been talking about, Captain Solo and I have been talking about these conversations online. The black community is the canaries in the coal mine. If you want to see what happens to a community or a society when you go in there and you marginalize the men and you make sure that the men cannot be economically viable and you bust up the family and you break shit down and these men have no fucking future or a pot to piss in or a window to throw out of, okay, you're going to start seeing the dismantling of the family. And at that point, the men don't have a fucking thing to fight for. So passing of, we're going to pass the draft bill, and you got tons of white men. Again, you got white men, they can't even date. They don't have a girlfriend. They're virgins. They haven't had sex in over a year. You know what I mean? And they're looking at the world for what it is. The world hates us. The world hates me. They don't have a high state of morale. They don't have anything to fight for. They have nothing they own. What do you think? People are going to go and fight your wars when you got Davos up there talking about you will own nothing and be happy? You think that you're going to have a world like that and these men are going to fight for you? They can't afford houses. They can't afford relationships. They can't afford vehicles. They can't afford a family. They can't afford groceries. But you think you're going to go out there and fight your motherfucking wars. I'm like, these motherfuckers are insane. They're insane. This ain't going to be, like the 1960s and the 1970s where the white boys, they come, like they're going to be like just Donald Trump and, my ankle spurs and draft dodge. No. When when these police officers go to pick them the fuck up, because they didn't show up at whatever the center is to be motherfucking drafted, these white boys will be dumping on squad cars when you pull up to the house. They will be smoking these cops. They will be smoking on officers. Okay? They're already unstable. They're already pissed off. They already have nothing to lose. They are not going to go quietly in the night. And I'm saying this as a black man that understands white men more than white men understand themselves. Because when you have all that entitlement, when you think you're supposed to be here, when you think you're supposed to have achieved this and have that, and that the world is supposed to be built, for you to succeed, and it doesn't happen. And then here comes somebody demanding of you some sort of action as if they've done anything for you. Oh, there's a ton of anger right there. You're asking to get fucked up. You're asking for, the way that the militias went out there and stormed the Capitol in Virginia when they tried to pass the assault weapons ban in Virginia. You're asking for that. You're asking for it. And then not to mention, for the earliest millennials, you're talking the earliest millennials who, when September 11th happened, you asked them to go to war and they signed up in droves because nobody understood the whole Osama bin Laden attacked 9/11 because America was supporting the little hats and how much the little hats had their meddling hands in U.S. politics, right, with AIPAC, right? They people didn't know that. They were like, oh, the Muslims attacked us, oh, we're gonna strike back, right? Because I knew many of those guys. And they signed up. And now, guess how old their sons are? Their sons are right in the age that this bill is going. And so you got dads that did 3 tours, 2 in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan, right? They know how to fight. And then you got the sons that right now they're struggling to, provide for, basically discouraging them from going to college because they're seeing that the whole go to college and then come out and then get a job to be able to take care of. That's not on the table anymore. So you got the dad that's pissed off and you got, the son that's pissed off. I'm like, oh, y'all are fucking with fire. Y'all are fucking with fire. It's not going to go down like you think it's going to go down. I would hate to be a police officer, going to try to arrest somebody because they dodged the drag. Oh man, please. You know what I'm saying? It's going to look like Dallas up in this bitch. It's going to look like freaking Micah Johnson up in this bitch. What's his name? Brian Gavin Long type of situations. I'm like, that's what you're about to unleash. I'm like, you have not addressed the needs, corrected any of what's going. This whole wealth pump, up to the wealthy. This trickle up economics, right? The rich get richer. The poor get poorer, the hollowing out of the middle class. You haven't addressed any of that. You know what I mean? You just, the military-industrial complex is throwing me money. Oh, yes, we're all for the war so that I can invest more stocks in Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and Boeing, even though Boeing's going through it right now, right? I mean, literally. The tone deafness is crazy. You know what I mean? And then all they're going to do is wag their finger and act like there's something wrong with these young men that aren't willing to fight for their country. And the Republicans will jump up and start talking all that Fox News. Oh, it's because of wokeness. It's because America is woke and it's because of the left. And that's why we need Donald Trump and everything. Donald Trump is the one talking about he's going to sign a draft bill. Y'all running around screaming Donald Trump is the answer. Let's just put it on the table. None of these old geezers, the geriatric ward, is not the answer. I don't care whether it's Biden or Trump. It's not the fucking answer. If I had to pick, first of all, I already know that Biden's going to lose because the economy is bad. It's fucked up, and whoever the president is, whoever the incumbent is, if the economy is bad, people don't care. They don't care about, other shit going on. You start fucking with their money, that's it. We don't have to dive into anything else. If you start fucking with their money, they can't live the comfortable lifestyle that they want to live. You're done. That should always be your priority. Hell, I'm sitting there looking at Biden like, didn't you ever play Sim City? You know what I mean? When that newspaper pops up on the screen and the crowd goes, boo, boo, because you didn't handle the fiscal shit. There aren't enough jobs. You didn't build enough commercial real estate. Like, did anybody ever play Sim City? You know what I mean? They're like, you need to run the country like Sim City. But no, apparently not. But this shit, I mean, man. These white boys are going to be shooting the motherfucking place up. They're going to be shooting the place up. Don't push them. Because, see, the thing is, it's like what Paul Mooney said about young black people. He was like, you tell our grandkids to get to the back of the bus. There won't be a bus. And you tell these white boys, we got nothing for you. And you need to go off to war and fight for us. They will burn this bitch down. They will burn this bitch. I promise you. They will burn this bitch down. I'm like, I cannot, I just can't like believe the tone deafness here. And then the tone deaf, like when you call them out on being tone deaf, they respond with gaslighting, just more gaslighting. Like, oh, Joe Biden and his cabinet up, oh, the economy is doing great, the economy is doing fine, oh, there's X amount of growth, the economy is just doing wonderful, and nobody's feeling that shit. Oh my God, I can't believe I woke up to this shit. I'm like, and I'm saying, you can go around, you don't have to take my word for it. You can go around to these red pill spaces, MGTOW spaces, you know what I mean? Again, the Western men already feel that they've been neglected and ignored. You want to prioritize feminists? You want to prioritize females? You know what I'm saying? Freaking, like Colonel Jessup said. What did he say? I neither have the time or the inclination to explain myself who rises and sleeps underneath the very blanket of freedom which I provided, then questions me about the manner in which I provided. I'd rather you just say thank you or stand a post. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to. And the thing is, when it comes to the government and these politicians up there that are like, oh, we're going to send the men. No, send the feminists to war. You know what I mean? Send the LGBTQ to war, right? Send all the people that you want to big up and you want to elevate, right? And men are toxic masculinity, #MeToo. We don't want to pay anybody, and we support the corporations that don't want to pay anybody, but then we're going to complain about our fourth quarter earnings because nobody's buying products from Home Depot or anything else, or taking their kids and their families that they don't have out to Red Lobster or any of these other chain restaurants and whatnot because they don't have the money to spend. Bars are closing because men are no longer going to bars. Right? They're not spending money on women, and women are bitching, oh, we're single and we don't have nobody to be with, and I'm just so alone, and they're crying all over the fucking internet. Men got whole collages of videos of women crying about being fucking single, of all races. How come men don't approach us anymore? Hello, bitch, do you not remember #MeToo from a couple years ago? Right? Do you not remember that? Men can't even go to the fucking gym. You got women with their goddamn cameras up, you know what I mean, making fake videos. Excuse me. Oh my God, I'm so offended. Are you looking at me? Right? And all this is given credence. I'm like, these men don't give a fuck about whether this motherfucker burns down to the ground. They don't care. You got passport bros. They're talking about getting with women abroad. When you got white men abandoning white supremacy and talking about getting with Asian women and producing half Asian children that are not white and not a part of the system of white supremacy, you done fucked up. You done fucked up. Because real talk, no, white supremacy really isn't the most powerful driving force for white men. No, it's that Judeo-Christian concept of being, a patriarchal man and head of household. If a man can't be that, because he's going to be reminded of that every day. That's in his face every day. A woman emasculating him or talking about what he's not doing or producing and his kids not respecting him, that's something he has to deal with every damn day. White supremacy or no white supremacy, he has to deal with that, because that's a universal concept as it pertains to what the world's expectations are for men, which is to be a producer and to be a provider. And if the world doesn't allow that, if the world doesn't facilitate that, men are like, fuck this world. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about your roads, your infrastructure, your fucking power grids. They don't give a flying fuck. They don't give a fuck. They'll let this bitch burn down. Let the feminists maintain it. Let them build, maintain, and defend. Give them an AR-15 and send them over there to go handle, the fucking Russians or some shit like that. Oh man, I cannot I cannot. It was so crazy. I'm not even white, and I cannot wrap my head around the bumbling white incompetence. This is the superior race. These are the superior beings. Really? These are the motherfuckers that are supposed to be Super Saiyans and shit? Fuck out of here. These motherfuckers don't know what they're doing. The fucking greed has blinded them. Just blinded them. You know, the most cannibalistic group of people I have ever seen in my entire life are white people. I mean, just they eat their own kids, they eat their own grandkids. Their ambitions, what they want out of life, it's not even like there's no reciprocity. There's no like any exchange, nothing. There's like just nothing. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm like, you're gonna see more of that Michigan shit. You know, with Governor, wasn't it Whitney Whitmer, whatever her name is, right? With the militias and shit. Yeah, you're gonna see more white boys on that. Guaranteed you're gonna see more of that. I cannot wrap my minds around, you know, these fucking politicians, these so-called leaders. You know, and when you again, like I said, you know, anybody over the age of fucking 60, you know, when it comes to this next election, it's not a red versus blue. It is a old versus young. You vote these people the fuck out of there. I mean, and young people, I mean, they got to show up in droves. And when grandma's like, you need to drive me to the polls. Grandma, I ain't driving you to polls. Fuck you and the fucking poll. You ain't going. I need to cast my vote. You know, they better be sending those ballots in the mail, because we ain't driving grandma or grandpa. We ain't driving none of them to the motherfucking polls. They gonna sit in the house and motherfucking rot. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. That's my video, SWP. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.